Guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I am super excited for it. We are going to be reviewing the ColourPop times Disney designer collection. This collection is pretty big. I didn't pick up everything though. So in today's video, I will be giving you my review on the eyeshadow palette, the luxe lipsticks, and also the ultra glossy lips. So the only things that I missed out on were the Super Shock eyeshadows and the Super Shock highlights. I was going to pick up one of the highlights, but when it launched, I think there was like a little bit of a glitch because I got everything that I wanted and I was gonna add the Super Shock highlight that I wanted, but it still said out of stock. So I was like, I ain't missing out on this collection. I just purchased everything and then I went back on the site like right after I purchased everything. It wasn't out of stock at that time. Maybe when they restock, I will pick up the Super Shock highlight, but this is what I'm reviewing today. Anywho, I'm gonna start rambling. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first I want to talk about the collection as a whole and give you guys some product info before I start talking about each individual item. So you can get the whole collection for $110 US. I believe right now when I'm filming this, everything is out of stock. I'm sure ColourPop will restock eventually. They also have like a PR box that you can get as well. I don't know if that's gonna come back in stock because when I was watching ColourPop's video on this collection, they said that they had like a limited quantity and once it's out, but you can get the PR kit for 120 and it comes in like in a pretty box. I personally feel like the PR bundles is not worth it to me. You're paying like extra $10 for like the box, but for this collection, and if you are like a true like Disney fan, I personally think the PR box is worth it. Even if you can't get the PR box, I think the packaging alone in this collection is stunning. And so like I said, I didn't get these Super Shock highlights, but there are 6 of them, one for each princess pretty much, and you can get those for $5 US. And also there are 2 Super Shock highlights and those are $8 US each. Just talking about this collection as a whole, it makes me so incredibly happy. When I was playing with these shadows and saying these shade names out loud, I was just so happy. Like Disney just makes everybody so happy, and when Disney and makeup collide, it's like, it's so freaking perfect. I usually don't talk about packaging too much just because to me what matters most is what's inside, like the product itself, but you can't not talk about the packaging because you can tell that there's so much effort that went into this packaging, from the graphic designing to just the colors. Like the little stars, each color represents one of like the princesses. You got the signatures, which is a really cute touch. Even the box itself, it's kind of like a frosting and then their signatures are just like all over the box. It's so pretty. And the lipsticks, like the packaging for the lipsticks is like, so for each princess, you can see that Tiana, her color is green, and then you have the matching stars on the side and that's green. And then when you open the actual box, the inside of the box is the matching color to the princess. So Tiana is green, and if you were to open Jasmine, inside her box is blue, and you know, you get my drift here. The attention to detail in this collection, like, you have to appreciate that. You know, the pricing on this collection as well didn't go up. It's the same usual ColourPop pricing. ColourPop kills it, Disney kills it. When 2 brands that kills it collides, it's like game over. So now let's talk about each individual item that I got. So let's talk about the eyeshadow palette because I feel like that is always the most exciting thing to me personally. So this is their 16 pan eyeshadow palette. We've seen this formation with their All I See Is Magic palette, which came out for Christmas last year, and this is $20 US. You will get 4 mattes and 11 shimmers. The reason why I said 4 mattes because Beast is one of those shades where it has a matte base with a little bit of glitters, but once you put it on the eyes, it's pretty much a matte. So in my personal opinion and the way I work, I would say there are 5 mattes, not 4. But traditionally, what they say on their site, there are 4 mattes. So looking at this palette, when I first saw like ColourPop, they were gonna launch this, and I was really excited. I mean, who doesn't love Disney? But looking at this palette, I was like, oh, there's a lot of shimmers in here. And there is. I didn't get to use every single shade in this palette through my 3 looks. If there was a little bit more matte, I probably could have used everything. So these shades that I didn't get to use were One Kiss, Magic Carpet, and Enchanted Rose. Although I personally would have liked if there were more mattes, just because all the neutrals that you get are pretty like brown, and you get like one little pink color. There's not much like diversity into this palette. I wish there were like more purple tones that you could play with that were mattes, and I gotta keep in mind that this palette is a themed palette. So kind of like the Zodiac palette, there are certain shades in there for certain reasons. So it's a very themed palette, so I can't blame them for putting too much shimmers in it. And when you think of like Disney princesses, you think of like glitter and glamour, and you know, you think of like shimmers. So I'm like, okay, it's not that bad as long as they gave me some transitions to work with, like I'm good. I think all of the shades that I got to use worked beautifully. There were no patchiness. This is ColourPop's amazing formula. If you watched my previous ColourPop review, you would know that I didn't have a good time with the Good Sport palette, but this one works just like how I know ColourPop's formula is. So no issues with patchiness, everything is beautiful. If you were thinking about getting this palette and you wanted to get my approval, I would say go for it. I think it's a really nice everyday palette. I love the shade Grumpy and Abu. They're just amazing, and I know I'm gonna pick up this palette again for those two shades specifically. I'm just really happy with this palette. I had no troubles with it. Everything blended out fine. I would recommend it as a makeup user and also as a Disney fan. So now I'm just gonna let the rolls clip of the dupes that I have for the eyeshadows. A lot of them are just comparisons and some of them are like dupes, but again, I will write that on the screen so you guys will know. Okay, moving along, we're gonna move to the ultra glossy lips. I have all three, bibidi, bobbdi, boo, and I literally think that is the cutest names. Like literally all the names in this collection I die and live for. The ultra glossy lips are the old formulas. If you guys are very familiar with ColourPop, you would know they came out with like a high shine, I think that it was called. Like they changed the applicator and the formula of the lip gloss was a lot different. I had a brush applicator and it was a lot more high shine. Like Champagne Mami is one of those glosses that are like the newer formula. So if you guys have glosses like Aquarius, Fairy Floss, it's like the same formula as that, where it's still on the doe foot applicator, and I like both ways of formulas. I literally love all three glosses. I paired these two glosses with two of the looks, which means I really liked how it looked. And I really do like Bibidi, the clear one. I feel like you could dupe this from ColourPop. Like I've seen it on their site. I personally don't own it and don't remember the name, but I feel like ColourPop has like a really similar gloss to this. I don't have any dupes for the glosses, although I do own a lot of ultra glossy lips. The ones that I have in my collection don't look anything like this. I know these three are like going straight into my top drawer. Like I will be wearing these all the time. If you're a fan of glosses, you guys will love this. These are like perfect everyday glosses, so I would highly recommend these. Now moving along to the Luxe lipsticks. I think they've got these shades pretty spot on, but how should I say this? I pretty much have a dupe for all of the Luxe lipsticks, like not even just 5 out of 6. Like I got pretty much similar colors, 6 out of 6 of the lipsticks. So if you already own a lot of the Luxe lipsticks and you want to get the lipsticks because of the shades, maybe just like kind of reconsider. But if you are getting it because you know your favorite princess is Tiana and you just want her lipstick, I mean, by all means, it's your money. I can't tell you what to spend on. But what I'm going to show you is that there are a lot of dupes and comparisons. I don't think any of these shades are like so out there. A lot of them are in different formulas, so if you are wanting a certain shade in the matte formula into a cream formula, I mean, you have it here. All 6 of the Luxe lipsticks are in the cream formula, but I can say that throughout all 6 they are exactly the same, so there is no inconsistency. Even with Tiana, I thought Tiana there would be like a little bit of patchiness because this is more of like a darker red, but you don't see any patchiness on the lips. It's like smooth, opaque, beautiful. I guess just for me, if this was like a normal collection and they came out with these shades, like if it was their summertime collection or something and they came out with these shades, I would be like, ColourPop, like what are you doing? These are exactly the same shades that you already have. But because this collection and the Luxe lipsticks, it's more of like a themed thing, you can't really blame it for having dupes. It suits the princesses, but there are dupes from ColourPop that like look pretty much exactly the same. So it depends on why you're getting this collection. I mean, if you want to know my favorite shades, I love all of them, like really I do. But the shades that I would wear are obviously Ariel and Belle. I think these two are obviously more of like the wearable shades. Ariel is like everything. And then when I was finding my dupes, guess what the dupe was? Layover, which Layover is like my #1 luxe lipstick. So obviously I loved Ariel. I just wanted to like mention that, just be aware because there are a lot of dupes. Okay, that was pretty much my review on everything. All I can say from this collection, it literally is the most consistent thing ever. I loved everything. Everything worked exactly the same. 6 out of 6 luxe lipsticks, 3 out of 3 ultra glossy lips. They all worked beautifully, all the shades in the palette. Yeah, I am very impressed with everything. I literally recommend everything. It honestly just depends what you already have in your collection. If you are just getting this collection for like actually the shades, you don't care about the Disney aspect. But if you're getting it because you love Disney, I mean, do what you want, your money. But now we can move along to the swatches and also the 3 demos. Okay guys, so we're gonna get started with demo 1. I already have my base on and I'm gonna be wearing the same base throughout the 3 demos. So I'm gonna leave all that product info in the description box as well, along with my brow products if you guys are curious about that. We're just gonna jump straight ahead into the actual demo. So first I'm gonna take the shade Chip. This is gonna be the shade that I'm gonna use to sit down my concealer. My concealer is lightly sit down with my translucent powder, but I just wanna use the shade just to get like an even all over base and a little bit of a tint all over my lid space. I'm going to be using my Makeup Collective number 16 brush to do so. We're just purely just patting this on, not swiping, just pat the color on, making sure our concealer is set. If you're a person that doesn't like to set your concealer down, then obviously you can skip this part, and Chip is a nice shade to just blend out the edges, but I'm going to be using this shade just to set down my eye base and just to give us a little bit of a little tint all over our lid. Okay, and now I'm going to take the shade Grumpy on my ColourPop tapered blending brush, and this is going to be our transition shade. You guys seen me do this multiple times, but I'm just going to put that in the outer corner of my eye first and slowly work that into my crease using windshield wiping motions. In the pan, this color looks a little bit more like a tan color, but on my eyes, it definitely looks a little bit more pink and a little bit more peachy, which I don't mind, but I was wanting this look to look a little bit more brown and warm, not as pink. And I'm just gonna take my Wet n Wild crease brush and I'm just gonna take a little bit of the shade Chip, and I'm gonna use this to blend out the edges just a little bit, just to further diffuse everything. And now I'm going to take the shade Abu on my Morphe M433 and I'm going to start placing this on the outer third of my lid space. I love this shade and the shade name. So first I'm just going to stamp that color in the outer corner of my eye using circular motions, and then we will slowly start spreading that out towards my crease and inner crease. The shade is so pretty and the name just makes it even better. So I'm putting that right into the inner part of my crease, blending that up towards the transition shade, and this is slowly gonna make the look a little bit more brown, what I was hoping for. I'm just going back in with my ColourPop brush and Grumpy, and I'm just going to add back in that color. I love how these two shades like mix together. It turns into like a really almost terracotta brown. I don't know, it just looks really pretty. I love how they just infuse into each other so easily. Okay, and now we're going to be taking the shade Beast on my ColourPop E9 brush, and if this is not the perfect shade for Beast, then I don't know what is. Anyway, we're going to focus this in the same area with Abu. We're just going to put this in the outer corner, but focusing it a little bit lower, mainly on my lid space, not really taking it up towards my transition. We want that like gradient. Although this shade does have little specks of gold, once you like really press that onto your lids, those little specks of gold will disappear. Like you guys can see on my eyes, there is no signs of like glitters. I mean, like there's a little couple of speckles, but the way it looks in the pan and the way that I work on my eyes, it doesn't translate that way. As long as it's not affecting the performance of the eyeshadow, like I don't mind this being a matte, as long as it's not choppy, like the glitters don't get in the way of it, then I'm like all good for it. You know what I mean? Next, we're going to take the shade Trident on my Vanity Planet concealer brush, and this is kind of like a satin shade. It's like a matte base but has a little sheen to it. It's not completely matte, but I'm going to use this as a base for the like glitter in a third. I think it's really pretty. You could even leave the eyes like this, and I think it looks really nice. There's a little bit of a shift to the eyeshadow. It's not like a matte, but it's not like a metallic. And now we're going to take the shade Ray on my Makeup Collective number 18 brush. I'm going to use this shade Wet because I already have my foundation on. I want to just decrease the amount of fallout that I could potentially be getting. So just taking that, putting that right on top of Triton, and that is hella pigmented. Wow. I'm trying to make the edges not as harsh and like defined. I'm kind of just blending out the edges so that way everything just looks nice and soft and sultry and smoky. Like I don't want to do a cut crease or anything, so I'm just really blending around the edges so it doesn't look too harsh. Okay, I'm taking Grumpy once again on my Sigma E55 brush, and I'm going to start running this on my lower lash line just to get like a nice wash underneath, and this is going to really pair well with the outer corner part. Like right here, I'm connecting it. So I'm really dragging it down, and I like to drag down my lower lash line color just because I have like fine lines underneath my eyes. When you cover those fine lines up with eyeshadow, it's not as noticeable. Okay, and now I'm going to take the shade Beast once again on my Makeup Collective number 7 brush, and we're just going to push this right underneath our lash line just to really define it. I'm just swiping left and right when I'm pushing it in, and that's going to diffuse the color a little bit for me as well. And when you stamp it like this, you can kind of see the glitters a little bit more. And for my bottom waterline, I'm taking the ColourPop Creme Gel Liner in the shade Honey Dude, and I'm just going to start tightlining my bottom waterline. Okay, now I'm using the shade Prince Charming on my lip liner brush from Vanity Planet, and I'm going to use this to highlight my brow bone and also my inner corners. For some reason, I feel like it has a bit of like a green tint to it. I was hoping it would be a little bit more gold, but it almost looks like lime green. In the pan, it doesn't look like a lime green. Definitely a lime green, and that is not what I exactly wanted. So I'm just gonna take a cotton bud and just like diffuse it a little. Okay guys, and this is the final look for look number 1. For the final lip pairing, I decided to go with the ultra glossy lip in the shade Bobbdi. Although I loved all of the lipsticks and I feel like all of the lipsticks really paired really nicely with this eye look, I just love this lip gloss, and I think the really pinky peachiness really ties in with the transition shade, and I just thought this was like the prettiest pairing, and I am going out after this. But yeah, for my lashes, I am wearing the Boudoir Lite from House of Lashes, and that is the completed look. Okay guys, so to get started with demo 2, I am starting with my eyes first. I don't have my base on. But first we're going to be taking the shade Chip on my Makeup Collective number 16 brush, and I'm going to use the shade once again to set down my concealer, which acts as my eye primer. So I'm just stamping it on like the last demo. This step is pretty simple and it's honestly optional. It just depends on you, whether you like to set down your eye base or not. Now I'm going to be taking the shade Judy on my ColourPop tapered blending brush, and this is going to be our transition shade. So as always, just focusing that straight into the crease using windshield wiping motions. First impression of this shadow, it seems like it's a little bit light, like we have to keep building this one up. But it's like a pretty baby pink color, and I want this to really show, so I'm gonna bring it quite high, really close to my brow bone. Next up, I'm taking the shade Poison Apple on my Morphe M433. And this is a shimmer shadow, and you guys might think I'm crazy for doing this, and I kind of think I am crazy as well. But I'm gonna use this all over my eye. I'm gonna use it like I would use a matte. I think this purple was really pretty, and I really want this to show. And there are no other like matte shadows that are like purple. All the matte shadows are pretty neutral. I'm just gonna place the color on my lid space first, and then I'll slowly bring that purple up. That actually looks really pretty though, like, not gonna lie. This could be like an eye look on its own. Next, using the shade Midnight Curfew on my Sigma E25 brush, I'm gonna start packing this on my lid space, but I'm gonna focus it really close to my lash line because I don't want this black to overtake all the pinks. And I'm using a very little bit on my brush. So around the edges, I'm just gonna swipe my brush left and right just to like diffuse those edges. And you might be here for a little while because, you know, it's such a dark shade. Definitely, if you just keep blending, you will see a difference. So I just took a bit more of Poison Apple, and then I'm just gonna go around that black line, and when I dust it over Midnight Curfew, it gives like off a little purple tint to the black, making the eye look really like galaxy-like. Okay, I'm taking the shade Juju once again on my Sigma E55 brush, and I'm gonna run the shadow on my lower lash line, really smoking it out, and once again connecting it with the shadow on the outer corner. And then I'm going to take the shade Midnight Curfew on my Makeup Collective number 7 brush, and I'm going to press this up against my lower waterline. And just like demo 1, I'm taking a pencil brush and I'm going to connect the black shadow in the outer corner of my eye. Okay, I'm going to take the Inglot AMC gel liner in the shade number 76, it's the white, and I'm going to use this to line my upper waterline just like how I would if I were to do a wing. Okay, and while we're here, just taking my Inglot gel liner in 77, the black, I'm going to use this to tightline my bottom waterline. Now I'm just using the shade Fairy Godmother on my Makeup Collective number 10 brush, and I'm going to use this shade to highlight my inner corner just to tie in all of the purples and pinks. I think this will be like a fun inner corner to have. And this, guys, is the completed look for look number 2. I know it's not the most princessy inspired and makeup look. It's a little bit more out there, a lot more like modern day, like Instagram kind of eye look, but I wanted to try something different and just play with the colors. But for the final lip pairing, I decided to use the Ariel Luxe lipstick. I just think the eyes were just so bright and loud. I just wanted to keep the lips a little bit toned down. And for my lashes, I am wearing the Boudoir Lite from House of Lashes, and that is my completed look. Okay guys, let's get started with look number 3. I already did one eye off camera, so this is what we're going to be creating today. I am starting with my eyes first, so I don't have any foundation on my face. So let's go ahead and get started. The first shade I'm going to take is Chip once again on my Makeup Collective number 16 brush. I'm going to use this to set down my eye base. You guys see me do this already, so we'll just speed over this part. Next, I'm going to take the shade Grumpy on my ColourPop tapered blending brush, and this is going to be our transition shade. Again, you guys also see me use this shade before as my transition, and a lot of the shades that we're using in this look is going to be shades that we already used in past demos. I mainly wanted to use Thingamabob, which is this silver here. The way I like to really emphasize a shadow is to do like a half cut crease. I feel like when you do a half cut crease, most of the attention is on that like pretty shimmer shadow. So yeah, a lot of the colors that we use we've already used before. I just really wanted to use Thingamabob. But after using Grumpy, honestly, this shade is like one of my favorites. I love the tone of this shade. Because of the shade, I feel like this could definitely be one of my favorite ColourPop palettes. Okay, and now I'm taking the shade Abu on my Morphe M433 brush, and we're going to first focus this on the outer part of our eyes, and then we'll slowly bring it into the inner part of our crease. Since we are creating a half cut crease, we want that definition. That way the light shadow that we place will contrast against the dark, making the cut crease pop out even more. So I'm making sure I'm getting a lot of product in that crease area. Okay, and now I'm taking the shade Beast on my ColourPop E9 brush. We're doing exactly the same thing, but because we're using a smaller brush and a darker shadow, it's going to create more definition in that crease. And we're going to bring that a little bit lower, but making sure I'm really getting it in that inner crease portion. Okay, so I'm taking some concealer on the back of my hand and using my Vanity Planet Small Cream Shadow Brush, I'm gonna start cutting out my crease. My left eye, the one that I already have done, this eye is a lot bigger. The eye that I'm doing now, I would rather do that second just so I can match up with the bigger eye, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna match it to the eye that I already have done here. And I think if you guys have like uneven eyelids, you wanna do the bigger eye first. So that way you can match up the smaller eye with the bigger eye. So once I feel like I got the concealer on just like a map out, I'm going to look up just to confirm I took it high enough. If you didn't take it high enough, it's going to mark a little line here telling you that you need to take it a little bit higher, because when you open your eyes and you have like metallic shadow on it, it's going to transfer. So now I'm just taking like a really small thin brush. This is like a paint brush, so you can just get this from like your craft store. And I'm gonna use this to go up against that crease line. I'm looking down into my mirror as well, that way all my creases are flat. And the purpose of doing this is to make sure the line is as sharp as possible, and also that the curve of it is actually following the natural curve of my eye. And now for the star of the show, we are taking Thingamabob, and I'm gonna whip my brush for this using my Makeup Collective number 18 brush as always. And this shadow literally, guys, is so beautiful. This is like the Cinderella shade. Like this is the shade of her dress, of her glass slipper. I just think this shade is like a very unique shade. Do you guys see how like high shine metallic this is? Like once you wear it, honestly, it is so good. ColourPop is not playing, guys, I'm telling ya. So now I'm just taking a bit of Beast on my Sigma E25 brush, and I'm just going to press where the shimmer and the mattes meet just to blend these shadows together. I'm going to mix it with a little bit of Abu as well. So just pressing where they meet so there's no harsh lines and it's just diffused. And now I'm taking my NYX matte liquid liner, and I'm going to use this to line my top lash line. Okay, and now I'm going to switch over to my inglot gel liner, and I'm going to use this to create my wing. I like using a gel liner to create my wing just because I have a lot more control when I'm doing it. And now I'm going to take the shade Prince Charming on my Vanity Planet rounded liner brush, and I'm going to use this to highlight my brow bone and also my inner corners. Because this shade is like a little bit of a lime green, I feel like it will tie in with like the really light silver blue. Okay, now I'm just going to take the shade Abu on my Sigma E55 brush, and I'm going to run this all over my bottom lash line. I'm going to take that from outer to inner corner, just really dragging this down like always. And then I'm going to take a bit of the shade Beast on my Makeup Collective number 7 brush, and I'm going to use this to define that lash line right underneath my waterline, just to make everything a little bit more deeper and sultry. And then just taking my Odyssey in Moisture eyeliner in the shade Coffee, I'm going to use this to tightline my bottom waterline. And this is the completed look for look number 3. For the final lip pairing, I decided to go with the Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Boo. But for the lashes that I'm wearing, these are the iconic lights from House of Lashes, and that completes the final look. And this, guys, is going to conclude my very long, in-depth video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up for me. Don't forget to comment down below which princess you guys are. Take the quiz on ColourPop's website. I want to see which princess you guys are. Let me know anything. What you guys think of the collection. Did you guys pick anything up? Will you guys pick up anything after this review? Just chat with me. Let's just talk Disney. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.